Hello and welcome to Shades and Layers. I'm your host, Kutlwanos Kosana Richie. Today, my guest is award-winning beauty and fashion publicist Monique Webber. Her agency, MLWPR, represents brands such as Melanin Hair Care, Shea Radiance, and Unsun Cosmetics. The latter two have both been featured here on this very podcast. Monique started her agency during the final quarter of 2020 and hasn't looked back since. She shares her ups and downs since then, including a recent cancer diagnosis and a round of treatment, and you find out how that changed how she defines success in the long run. And if you've ever wanted to know anything about the publicity industry, raising funding in that field, identifying and serving a niche, and how to create something that's bigger than yourself, then this is the episode for you. And so I invite you to enjoy this wide-ranging discussion with Monique Webber, founder of MLWPR Agency.
My name is Monique Webber, and I am the owner of MLWPR. We are a full-service public relations agency that is based in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we specialize in fashion, beauty, and lifestyle brands. And in particular, I love to champion minority-owned brands, locally owned brands, and women-owned brands.
And why did you choose this particular niche to go after?
Well, I started PR over 23 years ago. It's been half my life that I've been in PR. And I started with BCBG Max Azria Group, and I was with them for 12 years. And, starting in fashion, you grow a love for fashion. And it just, became something that I was just highly interested in and I wanted to stick with. I loved doing like the fashion shows that we used to do.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of celebrity dressing. I don't know if you are familiar with the brand Herve Leger.
Yeah.
But Herve Leger was also under BCBG's umbrella.
Yeah.
So in the early 2000s, I was dressing everyone under the sun in Herve Leger. So you saw Beyonce, Britney Spears, Kim Kardashian, Paris Hilton, Mariah Carey. I mean, you name it, all the A-list celebrities, I was dressing in those dresses.
Yeah.
So having had that experience is like something that you want to continue because it's exciting
yeah.
And it's fun. And I just always loved it. Like I actually fell into PR. I was actually Max and Luba Azria's, who's the owner of BCBG at the time. I was their fit model.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I started off as their fit model. And I used to sing and model. And just one day out of the blue, Mrs. Azria just asked me, like, Monique, would you ever consider like dressing some of like your model or musician friends in our clothes, and like maybe you should do PR for us? And I was like, I've never done PR. That's not even what I do. Like I'm on the other side of things. I'm the model.
Right.
So I didn't know anything about PR. So when she offered me that opportunity, I really took time to consider it and just thought, how hard can it be?
Right? Being young is the best thing ever, right?
Right.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, you're like, you don't know what you don't know, right? And so I'm like, sure. Yeah, I'll dress people in your clothes. Fine. And yeah, I was just bold and courageous and not afraid of a no.
Yeah.
So I went after like everyone and it was successful. And so
That's amazing.
I ended up becoming their senior VIP relations manager.
Right. So, I mean, what is it that made you want to carry on with PR?
It's just been a really exciting journey for me. And it's opened up a lot of doors. Like I've met so many people in PR.
Yeah.
And, you have to have a love for networking and building relationships. And I feel like I'm really good at that.
Yeah.
So this has given me an outlet to meet new people and to try new things. And it's just always been fun. Like I
Right.
haven't lost that aspect of fun.
Right. Yeah.
And I still get excited when one of our brands gets a placement. Like I still get happy about that.
Great.
So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
joy in PR hasn't left me yet.
Great. And is there a deeper meaning you attach to your day-to-day activities as a PR person?
Well, now that I have children, I have two kids. I have a 15-year-old son and a 14-year-old daughter. You start thinking about your next generation
Mm-hmm.
and building generational wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that mean? And so my why has kind of changed
Yeah.
to where now my why has become more about what's next for my children.
Yeah.
What can I build for them? How can I leverage PR to open up doors for them in the future? So that has become really what's important to me and what's been driving me recently.
Right, right. And then in terms of the actual work itself, we just mentioned that you work with locally owned businesses, you work with people of color, founded businesses. And, there's a lot of talk about diversity and inclusion, especially when
Yes.
it comes to the industries that you work with. That's fashion and beauty. And, what's your feeling in this, I would say, post George Floyd world of how things are going?
I started my own agency during that George Floyd movement. So I was with an agency, and during COVID, they were furloughing a lot of people, and I was one of the lucky ones that still kept their jobs. But I was also given like 15 accounts to oversee.
Ooh.
I know it's a lot of accounts.
Okay.
And so I'm overseeing all of these accounts. And also at the same time, the George Floyd movement is going on. And being one of the only people of color at the agency, it turns into, well, what does Monique think?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yes.
How should we phrase this? What would be the best way to go about, the brand messaging around these topics? And I was actually more concerned with, well, what do you think?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it really doesn't matter what I think.
Exactly.
Because of course I'm going to be on the side of the minorities because they represent me.
Right.
And I see myself in this movement. So what do you think not being a minority? Like, what's your stance?
Exactly.
And though I was, they had they were more open and more diverse than some of the other places that I have worked, I was still concerned with the idea that, okay, we haven't really been thinking about diversity before.
Sure. Yeah.
We weren't really actively pursuing founders of color, and it wasn't really something that was on their minds, really.
Yeah.
So for the most part, when you have these agencies, a lot of the founders, they're reaching out for brands with founders that look like them.
Of course.
Or, it's their friends, and then their friends are referring their friends, and a lot of their friends are the same.
Right.
And so you don't get any diversity. And so when all of that was happening, I just decided like, hey, I need to do something about this. I've now been doing PR for over 20 years. I obviously can do this on my own since I'm already at home working on 15 accounts.
Yes.
And so now would be the time for me to just step out on faith and go for it.
Perfect.
So I did. And I know a lot of publicists, when they're leaving an agency, they take their clients with them. I didn't that. So I started from zero.
Wow.
I was just hustling, really. I was reaching out to brands that resonated with me, that I was actually using and really loved, or that I had read about and I really liked their story. And I thought, I can really do something with them. So I reached out to them, sent them like really heartfelt messages.
Right.
And they responded. And so in my 20 plus career, I had represented maybe 5 Black-owned brands over the 20-year span.
Wow, that says a lot.
Yes. So when I officially launched in August of 2020, I launched with 7 Black-owned brands.
Wonderful. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And how did you go to market with this idea?
At the time, everyone was on the whole, let's support Black-owned businesses. It was
Of course.
that whole trend and that whole bandwagon, which I knew was going to just be a trend. Because nothing lasts forever in fashion and beauty.
Yeah.
And especially, I don't know if you've ever had the chance to see the documentary on Beth Ann Hardison.
No, I haven't yet. Oh my gosh, I really need to get onto that. You know, you're the second person I'm interviewing who's asked me, have I seen the documentary? No, not yet. Getting onto it.
Amazing. So
yeah.
What she's been able to do in fashion is pretty much like what I would love to do with PR.
Sure.
So, you know, there is a complete lack of diversity in PR, not just with the brands that people represent, but even amongst publicists. Like there's only 11% of publicists that are African American. And a lot of that 11% is in like the entertainment side of PR.
Yeah.
There's other aspects of PR that we can do. There's hospitality.
Yeah.
Fashion,
you can see though. It's very, very obvious. Yeah.
Healthcare. There's all kind of other things that we can do as publicists aside from just representing talent.
Yeah.
So I would love to see us start to move into these other segments of PR and not just be a account executive. We should be in higher levels. Like we should be senior executives or vice presidents or the president or, you know, the CEO of the company. And a lot of women of color do not hold those positions.
Yeah. Award-winning beauty and fashion publicist and founder of MLWPR agency, Monique Webber, is my guest on Shades and Layers today. Monique is on a mission to change the status quo in her industry by contributing meaningfully to diversity and inclusion efforts. Up next, we discuss scaling a PR business and what it would take for women of color to have more of an impact in the public relations industry. For Monique, entrepreneurship was the pathway, but for those who don't choose that route, what are the options? Let's find out.
It's really about community. I think we all have to help each other.
Yeah.
So as soon as one person makes it out and becomes successful, you have to look behind you and look below you and reach down and pull those people up.
Yeah.
So, you know, I am very happy to like mentor other women of color who are, you know, trying to get into PR. I've actually been involved with a few like PR mentoring groups. So I would encourage them to get involved with like find a PR group. And form other relations with other publicists and then find other successful women of color who are in the niche that you want to be in. Ask them, like, would you mentor me? Can you help me? Do you mind introducing me to XYZ? Or, you know, like, you know, and a lot of times you will find that people will say yes. Yeah. It's just a lot of times people don't ask.
Yeah. It's a difficult thing, right? To ask.
Yeah. No one wants to ask for help.
For sure. Like, so how did you know you had a viable business and that you could scale?
You know, my first year of business, I did over $250,000.
Oh, well done. Gosh. Wow. Yeah.
So, yeah.
First year.
That wasn't my first year. That was my second year. My second year, I did 250. My first year, I started out at 150.
Yeah, but still, I mean, that's
year, I doubled it. And then I just noticed that, you know, founders of color, they're also looking for people of color to represent them. And you have to show up. And, you know, a lot of times people don't want to do business with other, like Black people we really get a lot of bad press and people speaking poorly about how we manage our businesses. So everyone's like, you know, you have to show up and you have to be good at what you do. You have to deliver. You can't just talk the talk. You actually have to put action behind what you do. And, you know, like we are delivering results. we're not just taking your money and that's that. Like you're just sitting on my roster. Like, no, I'm actually working for you as if your brand is my brand. Because I understand how hard it is to make a dollar.
Yeah.
And I don't want to waste people's money. So, and I mean, I wouldn't want anyone to waste my money either.
Right.
So I know PR is a long-term game though.
Yeah.
It's not something that you start and then in 2 weeks you'll start to see a whole bunch of placements in like these top tier magazines. It still takes time to get there. So it is an investment. But if you have someone that believes in you, that understands your mission, knows your story, like they know their own story, I would say that would be the right publicist for you.
Right. So
and just scaling has just been like people have referred other clients to me, like clients that I was working with have referred other people to me. So that has helped me scale. And then last year I actually had a really tough year. Inflation.
Oh, yeah.
caused a lot of my clients to have to rethink their PR budgets because their manufacturing costs skyrocketed.
Yeah.
So they weren't able to maintain their PR budgets.
Yeah.
So we lost a lot of clients there. I also was diagnosed with breast cancer. So I had a lot going on.
Yeah.
Emotionally, physically, and then financially. But I still, was pushing forward. And of course, I had my moments where I was like, I don't know if.
Of course, it's part of the journey, isn't it? Yeah.
This is a lot. Especially since it's pretty much just me. I do have one employee who I love to death. So it's just it was just the two of us, basically. So like it's tough to run a business and have all these and to have life happening
of course
around you.
Yeah.
So like I said, I was part of these PR mentoring groups, and they really helped me start thinking about other ways of finding like clients, other ways to promote myself. How else can I build revenue without going the retainer route? Because a lot of PR agencies
I was actually going to ask, like, what's the common business model in the
PR? Common business model is retainers.
Right.
So you sign clients on anywhere from 3 to 6 months. And then, that keeps your monthly revenue going. But if you don't have that, then like, what else can you do? So then you can start doing like projects, or you can do PR consultations, or you can start making products yourself, like your ebooks, or there's even like one publicist that was actually making like real products. She was making like t-shirts.
Oh wow. Yeah, cool. Yeah, of course.
So it's thinking out the box and like what are other ways for us to generate income. So I had to think about that. And then also my mentor encouraged me to start applying for grants, which I never thought of.
Right.
I'm like, I'm a service, I'm a publicist. They're not going to like want to give me a grant. But I was wrong. I was applying for them, and lo and behold, in August, I won one. I won $10,000 from Beyonce's Baygood Foundation.
Cool.
Which was very cool.
Yeah.
So amazing. And then maybe like 2 months later, I won a skip grant for $1,000. And then at the end of December, I won another grant from Our Village United. I won $20,000.
Sheesh, lady, you're on a roll.
I've been on a roll.
I need to consult you. Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, I was part of so from the Beyonce Baygood grant, they enroll you in these other programs. And one of the programs was in Our Village United cohort. It's a business cohort. And I didn't even know that was going to turn into a grant. But after going through the 12-week sessions, like the business sessions, they had a pitch competition for our graduation, and they selected 5 of the students from the cohort to pitch for the pitch competition. And I was one of the 5. And then I ended up winning 2nd place and got the $20,000.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And that's how it happens.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So put
Yeah.
yourself out there, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So we spoke about business models briefly. Yeah. And that was the other thing I wanted to ask you about, funding. So there's the grants, there's also the route of retainers. So do you think you would want a loan or some other kind of funding, or you are just fine growing things organically?
So far, I've been just fine growing things organically. I realize that that's a blessing. I've been mainly cash based,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been able to have like a consistent flow of clients.
Mm-hmm.
And because I don't have a super large overhead, it all just works out for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's only two of us. So it's myself and one other employee. So it's just the two of us. And I basically work out of my house. So I don't have to
Perfect.
pay for an office. And a lot of the shipping and things like that, like our clients take care of their own shipping.
Right.
So the only real thing that I'm paying for are like the programs that we use to do our day-to-day tasks. So
Right.
if we're pitching to journalists, there's like you use Cision or Muck Rack, and
Right.
those types of programs
Sure.
are
Yeah.
expensive,
Mm-hmm.
but like I only have those types of operational costs.
Yeah. And speaking of retainers, you said, a lot of clients refer to you, get referred to you by other clients, etc. But, what's the art of choosing the right client for you?
For me, I really, especially now that I've gone through all of my cancer treatments, like I am really, really focused now on what's in your product, especially since I'm in the beauty industry.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I want to know
Yeah.
what's in your product. Are you using natural ingredients? Is it good for people to use? Because I just don't want to promote just anything at this point. So if I don't feel comfortable using your product, then I probably will not be the one to represent you.
Right. So there's an ethical and consideration. Yeah.
And like I said, I also look for founders of color. I love emerging brands.
Yeah. At what stage of business should they come to you?
I would say, of course, they should have their website built. They should have
that would help. Yes.
Base. They should know who their ideal customer is. I would say if they're making over 150K a year, they should start looking for PR.
Great. And how do you judge success in your business? I know you've got bottom line considerations, clearly, but how do you judge success?
Well, I look at like numbers. So we're all about like the number of impressions we're able to get, what's the engagement that we received on a campaign? How many placements did we get within a year? So I look at stuff like that as far as what's successful for me. I know for like individual owners that we work with, sometimes what they view as success is completely different. I might have a founder that thinks that success is, I got on Tracy Ellis Ross. So like that was successful for me. Yeah. Like that's a major deal to me. Or it could be like last year we had one client and we had over 115 earned media placements for them.
Oh, wow.
So that's a way of measuring success. And then for me, also, aside from those types of like numbers, is my quality of life.
Yeah.
Am I happy doing this still?
Yeah.
And especially, I'll go back to the whole cancer thing because it really opens up your eyes. It makes
absolutely.
you really realize, like what's important in life.
Yes.
So do I have the time now to spend with my kids? Or am I always stressed?
Yeah.
So success for me also takes into account my health and how am I spending my time?
Absolutely.
Time is so important. And I think a lot of people don't value time as much as they should.
I agree.
Because it's something that we can't buy it.
Yeah. It doesn't come back. There are no do-overs,
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. So quality of life, I'm totally with you there. This is Shades and Layers, and my guest today is award-winning publicist and founder of MLWPR agency, Monique Webber. We're about to get into her background story, but before we do that, let's find out about what you can expect from a publicist as a client and how brands can stand out in a crowded market. What are the biggest misconceptions about what you can achieve for a client, and what miracles can you not perform?
Oh, that's a loaded question.
Because I know, PR, you appear in nice magazines and you see all these, brands and celebrities and whatever. You're like, okay, yeah, that's good PR working. But, what are the misconceptions about what your PR can do for you and what it can't do for you?
I think the main misconception is that publicists are salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
We are not salespeople. We're storytellers. So though we can get you placements, sometimes those placements don't convert to sales. So our job isn't necessarily to get you sales. Our job is to tell your story.
Yeah.
And to get your story out to as many people as possible. Mm-hmm. And what people don't understand is that how that helps them is that I read this article where it said that people have to see your brand or your product at least 7 times before they make a decision on whether they're going to buy you or not. So if there aren't all these various touch points of your brand, then you're missing out. And that's what having a publicist helps you with. It helps get you in digital publications. You're now on a broadcast network. You're now in magazines. So there's all these places where people are seeing you. And then it's like, oh, okay, I've seen them so many times. Let me check them out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's exactly how it works. Yes.
Yeah. So that's how it works.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are like, oh my God, okay, we were in L, but we didn't sell anything. So PR isn't working. And it's like, no, you were in L.
Exactly. That's huge in and of itself.
Yeah. Like you were in L. It worked. We did our job.
Great.
And the other thing that I would say that people think is that, especially in fashion and beauty, a lot of people think they look at they compare themselves with these other brands. Mm-hmm. And they see, like, especially if it's a well-established brand and you see how well that brand is doing, and maybe you're doing Black hair care and you see like a Miele or something, and you see how many celebrities they have, mm-hmm. and how many placements they get. And you're like, oh, I'm in the same category. I should be getting the same thing.
Right.
And it's like, no, it doesn't quite work that way either. They have a completely different budget. Like you don't even know what their budget is.
Right.
Marketing or for celebrity endorsements. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a budget that's allocated towards that. So, I mean, if you don't have the same budget, you're not going to get the same types of placements.
Yeah. Yeah.
That those brands get.
Yeah.
And also they've been around for however many years.
Exactly.
And if you're just starting.
Yeah.
Okay. Like give it some time.
Yeah. But then how do you advise people to cut through the noise? Because there's so much out there, especially in beauty and fashion.
Nowadays, people are really, customers are really in tune with the founders. Mm-hmm. So how you cut through the noise is by being upfront and personable and showing your face and telling your story. And I know a lot of founders don't want to be on IG and TikTok, and they don't want to be the front person, but it's so needed because why did you start the brand?
Right.
People want to know why now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they want to know what's your story, because your story touches and inspires your consumers. Mm-hmm. And if they can relate to you, they'll buy from you. Even for me, people have been saying, Monique, you got to get yourself out there more. You got to start doing more videos.
Yeah. I wanted to know,
and I'm like, oh my God. I am a background person. I'm a publicist. It's not about me at all.
Right.
But yeah, even now for me, in order to land new clients that have never heard of me, or, that's not through word of mouth, they have to see me and be able to relate to me and my story and what we're doing here at MLWPR.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into the story of how you got to where you are. So, and it involves either a time when you were growing up or, college or whatever, your fondest memories of, okay, it makes sense that I would land up where I did because this and this and that happened.
I always wanted to be a singer, actually. I wanted to be a musician.
Yeah.
So I used to sing, and I started modeling too when I was in like the 11th grade.
Okay.
I'm very tall. I'm 5'10".
Wow. That's impressive.
So I have always been in fashion and in the entertainment industry in some kind of way.
Yeah.
So I guess it was meant to be for me to find some other avenue to go into that still supports those dreams, or still gives me access to that environment.
Yeah.
So I was with Elite Model Agency as a teenager, and like they were my first agency. And then from there I was like with LA Models and Q Models, and I got to do like really huge ad campaigns as a model. So I've been in like PacSun, I've done Macy's, I've done a Prada ad. I did some ads for Carl Kanai. I've done runway shows in LA, and I actually did a Miami Fashion Week runway show. So like that whole world was always really exciting for me.
Yeah. Brilliant.
And fun. Yeah. I like to have fun. And I didn't want to do anything that was going to be boring.
Yeah. Who were some of the people who encouraged you in that direction? And who did you look to in terms of mentors, role models, etc.?
I just would always hear it all the time because I was tall and really thin. So I would have like friends in my high school or like family members that would say like, oh, you guys got to they would tell my parents, you guys got to get Monique into modeling. And then when I became like old enough to actually start looking up the information myself, because I'm actually the youngest of 11. So my parents were like, let me research and try to find out about our modeling agency. They're trying to feed 11 kids. So me trying to be a model was not at the top of their priority.
Right, exactly.
But they were supportive. So I had to go out and figure it out myself. Like how do I find an agency? Like how do you even go about becoming a model?
Right. So
I would just like do research, and like I think it was like Tyra Banks. I like read an article once on Tyra Banks, and like her mom was like her manager, and I read their story of how they got Tyra started. And I was like, okay, well maybe I should try that.
Brilliant.
So I was like, okay, let's see what happens. And let me just start calling agencies that I see that are in these magazines that I love. So I would just start calling them. And then I found out that they have like open calls. Oh, you can just show up. And then if we like you, we'll sign you. So it's like, okay. Okay, all I have to do is show up. I needed to take some pictures, which my father, it's really funny. My father could not afford to hire a professional photographer, which I completely understand.
Yeah. So
he was like, I'll take it.
Yes, Dad. Hey, problem solver, okay?
Time, they had those little disposable cameras.
Oh my goodness. Oh, Dad.
He literally took me to the park and to Watts Towers. He's like, do your thing.
Excellent.
Disposable camera. So those were my first modeling pictures.
I love it. I hope you still have them. Brilliant.
I don't know. I don't think I do. I have to look. I have a box that's filled with photos. I have to look to see if still have those pictures.
Brilliant.
But
It's a great story.
yeah, that's how that started.
Great.
And I was so upset, though. I was like, this is not how you do it, Daddy. This is not what we're supposed to do. They're never going to say yes to this.
I can just imagine.
Me in front of this building. Like, what are we doing here?
Brilliant. And from that time, or even later, what's the best advice you've ever received, and that you live by to this day?
Oh, best advice I've ever received. Wow. I would say this might make me cry. Actually, it probably came from my father. My father passed away from colon cancer a few years ago. The best advice I ever received probably came from him. He was like the ultimate entrepreneur. And it was just 2 words: believe in yourself. You have what it takes. Believe in yourself.
That's great.
Trust that you can do it.
That's really great advice. Yeah. You say he was an entrepreneur. What did he do?
He did real estate. Actually, He did a little bit of everything. He did real estate. He used to sell like Christmas trees. He also had like a little jean shop that was filled with all these vintage jeans, which I love that shop. I was like, I love this idea. Yeah, he did a little bit of everything.
That's great.
That's probably where I get like my hustler spirit from.
Yeah. It had to come from somewhere. Yeah,
it has to come from somewhere. And you have to, I guess, be some type of like you have to be always pushing yourself and trying to, generate income when you have 11 kids. How are we going to feed these kids? Like, we're selling Christmas trees.
So if you had to write your memoir, what would it be called and why?
Oh, wow.
That's my rapid fire. Sorry, I should have introduced it. Like, okay, now we're coming to the rapid fire. So if you had to write your memoir today, what would it be called and why?
What would it be called and why? Monique Webber, the model of resilience. I think that I have had to push through and overcome so many things, but I pride myself in the fact that I've remained positive and steadfast, and I don't give up. That's one thing about me. Like, I'm not going to give up. So like a no to me isn't a no. It's a not right now. Yeah. You can circle back on that.
We'll revisit that idea soon.
Yeah, we'll revisit that. So, yeah.
Great. And if you had to turn it into a biopic, who would you pick for the lead actress?
Good question. Who would I want to play me? Actually, the first person that came to my head was Zoe Saldana.
Me too. If you had to have dinner tonight, you're the hostess. Which famous Black woman would you invite to dinner, living or dead?
Oh, without a question, Oprah Winfrey.
Oh, yeah.
Who doesn't want to meet Oprah? I don't even know if I would even speak. I would probably be in such awe of her. It would just be great just to breathe the same air. That's Oprah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like I went to see her. She was in Los Angeles when she was doing that tour. I went to see her when she was in LA, and in the journal, because I gave you journals. Yeah. In the journal, I wrote in that journal, because the whole thing was talking about like building your future and what do you want for your life and what is your true dreams and all of that. In that journal, I wrote that I wanted to start my own PR agency, and I wrote out what I wanted it to look like. And it was a year later that I ended up leaving the agency that I was with and starting my own agency.
Speak it into being, man.
And I looked at that journal and I was like,
man,
this came to pass. See, Oprah, the power of Oprah.
Yes, you need to focus on those dreams and speak them into being. She's a big proponent of that.
You need to be clear about what you want.
She's
I
huge,
mean,
huge, huge
you
proponent.
read that in the Bible too. It's like in Habakkuk, write down the vision and make it so clear. And you want others to see it too, so they can hold you accountable for it.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it wasn't just me. Like, I was there with my friend. Like, I even showed it to her. I was like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
So
fantastic. Well, I'm glad it came true.
yes, me
Congratulations.
too. I'm glad.
Yes.
That was probably the best, like starting my own thing was probably the best thing I've ever done.
I love that. I love to hear that. That's great.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, it's
really
tough
great.
being an entrepreneur.
Oh, I know.
But yeah. But it was the best thing I've ever done. I don't regret it at all.
Great. So Monique, thank you very much for your time. Is there anything else that you'd like to touch on that maybe we didn't speak about?
No, I don't think so. I would just encourage like listeners to do as my father said, trust yourself. So, if you are building a business or building a brand, believe in your business, believe in what you're doing, and move forward. A lot of the times you are going to hear no, and you are going to be met with resistance.
Yeah.
But if it's really in your heart and in your spirit to do, this business, then do it. And don't even listen to the naysayers. Like, you have to put on like your invisible earmuffs.
Yeah.
Just keep pushing forward.
Absolutely. And where can people find you if they want to work with you or just see the work that you do?
Oh, yes. On IG at MLWPR, or you can visit our website at www.mlwfashionpr.com, or you can always email me. I am always available. I love getting questions or people asking me about like, what should they do? I don't mind answering your questions.
Great. Yeah.
So you can email me at monique@mlwpr.com.
And that is all from me today. Thanks to Monique for sharing her story, and thanks to you also for listening. If you liked this episode and think it would be useful to someone else, please do go ahead and share it. I'm Kutlonos Kosana Richie, and until next time, please do take good care.